All right, we are live. All right, attempt number
Kick some pies,
2.
kick some pies.
Yeah, so we're trying this again tonight. This is not our first video of the night. I took the other one down. It was pretty disappointing on our end, but hopefully this is much better for those of you tuning in. This is Yankee Chatter, and this is episode number 24, take 2. And my name is Greg Andriano, and you can find me on Twitter at GregAndriano05. And this is my buddy up north.
Yep, this is Brad McCormick reporting live upstate New York at Brad Chatter 1 on Twitter. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it out.
Yeah, so if you guys caught the show last week, Brad and I joined forces with the Bigger and Bradder Sports Show. Did I say that correctly, Brad?
That's correct.
And our good friend Big Tuna, who was on the show last week, is unable to join us tonight. We miss you, big guy. We'll get you next week.
Yeah, but on the bright side, there's a lot more room for me in the screens.
Yeah, good thing we have 0 viewers at the moment.
Yeah, well, this is on YouTube forever, so go check it
out. Yeah. Bigger and Bradder Sports. It's a good show. They talk a lot about football and sports in general. And it was a pleasure being on the show with you guys last week. I had a lot of fun. It was interesting talking something different than baseball. And if I'm not mistaken, Brad, I think the 2 teams that I picked to go to the Super Bowl ended up winning and going to the Super Bowl.
All right, so listen, you picked the 2 favorites that were favored by like 1 touchdown. Okay, it's not like you dug deep and did your homework on these things. Okay?
Hey, you want to know how many football games I watched this year? I can count them on one hand.
You didn't have to watch any football to know the answer to the last 2. Wow. I mean, it's a good week for you to join in on that.
Yeah, right. But the Chiefs were struggling at the beginning there. I was a little concerned.
Yeah, that's their MO, and they'll probably do it again in the Super Bowl. But with the Chiefs, they can put up a lot of points in a little time. So, as everyone sees, so the Super Bowl, not to get on too much into football because we're doing baseball here, but I just want to say the Super Bowl is going to be, I think, one of the better games we've seen in Super Bowl. The Super Bowls lately have been very good, but I think this one's going to live up to all the hype. It's 2 really good teams. Probably the 2 best teams in football are playing.
I hope so. I hope it's a good game. It's hard when your team doesn't make it, or in this case, they don't even make the playoffs, and your quarterback retires. So big year transition for the Giants.
Well, the good thing is you're already at rock bottom. You can't go any further down than this. So
exactly. It's like our first attempt at live streaming. Can't go anywhere but up, right?
Right, exactly. This is just the beginning. Okay, this is the seed that we're planting.
Exactly. This is
going to go to a big tree.
This is we're all testing the waters here. We've never done this before tonight, and it's a lot of work. You guys don't realize how much effort goes into recording, editing, exporting, uploading on what I like to call a terrible. It's right here. I'm on a different computer right now, but my laptop is absolutely terrible, and it takes things like 5 times longer than a good laptop would take. So live streaming is going to really help with that because efficiency. That's all I want. Yeah. Yep. It goes right to it for us, and I can download it afterwards and script the audio and put it on iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. So exciting times for Yankee Chatter. Hopefully this goes really well. And actually, let's talk some baseball, Brad. What do you think?
Let's get in it. I might as well talk about the Hall of Fame again.
Okay. Take two. If everybody recalls, the National Baseball Hall of Fame released their 2 inductees this year. The first was actually played for the Colorado Rockies for a long period of time. He also played for the Cardinals, and I think he came up with the Expos before going to
he was
Colorado.
An Expo originally.
And I want to say he was on another team as well. It escapes me at the moment.
And he's Canadian.
And he's Canadian, eh? What's that all about? But Larry Walker,
So
right
people thought he
fielder.
was going to go in the Hall of Fame. People thought he might have went into the Hall of Fame as an Expo because he came up with the Expos and he's Canadian. So he thought maybe a Montreal Expo hat would be on him. But no, he realized he did all his damage as a Rocky, so he's going in as a Rocky.
Which is really good for the Rockies because I don't think they have a Hall of Famer
I don't
at the
know. I
moment.
don't know. I don't
But
think so.
he played for the Expos, the Rockies, and the Cardinals. So yeah, I was wrong. There was only
Okay.
those three teams. So he played right field and a little bit of first base. He's a left-handed hitter, throws right. Like you said, he's from Canada. He spent most of his career with the Rockies, compiling a 72.7 WAR, according to Baseball Reference, 383 home runs, a lifetime 313 batting average, 1,311 RBIs. So he's got some. He's got the stats. Um, and I don't. This was his final year on the ballot, if I
Yeah.
recall. A lot of people were
He actually
worried.
didn't think he was going to make it. He sent out a tweet thanking everyone for the support, but I'm going to come up a little bit short. So it was a surprise to him.
Well, that's good. He deserves it. You know, a lot of everybody that gets inducted deserves it in one way or another. It doesn't matter how many votes you get. You're in. You're in. That proves that you're one of the best of the best. So, congratulations to Larry Walker. Well deserved.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I think of Larry Walker, I think of one thing, and that's him turning his batting helmet backwards against Randy Johnson in the All-Star game. That's like the
Yes.
moment that, for some reason, that stuck in my head my entire
Yep.
childhood. And I think I'm not probably not the only one. I think a lot of people think of Larry Walker at that moment.
So when you were cutting in and out before, I had to talk to myself for a little bit, and I actually
That's
mentioned
nice.
that. Yeah, it felt weird, and I don't ever want to do that again. But no, that's the one thing I really remember Larry Walker from is he faced Randy Johnson, right? And he threw a ball
Yeah,
like 10 feet over his head.
threw it over his head. Yeah,
Yep.
just messing with him.
Yep, and it was a little bit of humor, and it's nice to see that. And I wish players would joke around a little bit more now that the All Star game doesn't mean
Well, they
anything.
can now. I mean, it's starting to come back a little bit now. The game doesn't mean anything again, which I think is the right thing. I like how it is now, and that's the stuff you want to see at an All Star game. You don't care if the National League or American League wins. You just want to see
No,
them have a good time and see the best talent out on the field.
it's supposed to be fun, right? The home run derby is a good
It's
time.
a reward.
It is. It is. So that covers the one player. Now the other player, which is pretty much the reason why we're doing this tonight. If everybody remembers a fella by the name of Derek Sanderson Jeter, he was voted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame for the class of 2020.
Oh, he made it, huh? I was worried about him.
Yeah, well, he was on the fence, just barely made it. Actually, out of 300, was it 397 votes?
Yeah,
Jeter
he got
received 396, so he was one short from being unanimous, which would have been the second player in consecutive years to earn a unanimous call to the Hall. A lot of people are upset about this. What's your take on this, Brad?
I'm not upset about it. I mean, I think first of all, it doesn't matter. He's in. It doesn't matter if you're unanimous. Second of all, no other position player, as you stated, Mario Rivera was the first ever unanimous player to be voted in. He's a relief pitcher. Jeter, there's still never been a positional player that was unanimous. So if Jeter got it, then it's basically saying he's the best all-time positional player, and that's just not true. I mean, I can think of so many players that are in the Hall of Fame right now that are better than Jeter, and they didn't get anywhere near unanimous votes for whatever stupid reasons it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think he was going to be unanimous anyways. I actually did not expect it to be one vote shy. That even surprised me. So it doesn't bother me at all. I don't think he should have been unanimous just because of the way the writers are. Now, to me, was it a no-brainer? Yeah, if I had a vote on my ballot, he obviously would have been voted for. But I just kind of knew there was going to be at least one writer out there that wasn't going to vote for him. And I was right. So no, it doesn't get me upset. I don't know why people get upset about that stuff, but I don't know. What do you think?
So I have a similar sentiment. I wasn't expecting him to be unanimous. A lot of people were talking about he could be, and there's a chance that he could be. The thing with Mariano is he was the best relief pitcher of all time. I mean, he has the most career saves out of anyone ever. So him, it makes a little bit more sense. Jeter, not so much. There's there's a handful of shortstops in the Hall of Fame, and all of them defensively are much better than Jeter.
People
And
forget Jeter wasn't even the best shortstop on the Yankees at the time.
No,
A-Rod was a better shortstop than Jeter.
Exactly. And I lost my train of thought.
My bad.
No, that's okay. I mean, he was a good hitter. He puts the bat on the ball. He got on base. But what you were saying was, if he earned the unanimous vote, then all these players that were voted into the Hall before him, why weren't they unanimous? And for those of you that aren't familiar with how the Hall of Fame voting works, the baseball writers vote. They get a ballot of like 30 names. They pick up to 10 and they submit it. And you have to get 75% of the vote to get elected in. And so a lot of people had this standard where when Babe Ruth was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he did not get a unanimous vote, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about this. But he didn't get a unanimous vote because I guess there were a couple of writers that didn't follow the Yankees and the Red Sox and didn't feel like, even though it was pretty obvious that he was going in. And so if a lot of people felt after that if he didn't get 100% of the vote, then, well, these other players who were the best in the game during their era shouldn't get 100% of the vote. And I think that's ridiculous and stupid. And it carried all the way up until last year, until Mariano. And I mean, you had guys voted in like Ripken, Griffey should have been unanimous. Mantle, DiMaggio, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, all these players were not unanimous, and they should have been. It shouldn't be like, I got to vote. Well, he didn't live up to he wasn't the Babe, so he shouldn't get voted in, or he shouldn't be perfect. So I'm going to be that one writer that doesn't vote him, and then he's not perfect. And that's ridiculous. That needs to go away.
Yeah, I was just trying to look up when Joe DiMaggio was actually voted in, but I don't know for sure when. But I do know that he didn't make it on the first ballot. Like, this is Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah,
he did not even make it into the Hall of Fame.
That is ridiculous. I think if you go to Baseball Reference, plugging you Baseball Reference, they usually tell you all that stuff.
Yeah,
that's like my Bible.
I just knew that it wasn't the first ballot. That's why I was trying to look it up quick. But so yeah, I totally agree. I don't know. You know what? And the whole system is kind of dumb. You don't need that many voters. First of all, second of all, the length of time you get on the ballot, just once you get named to, not the ballot, the length of time you can vote once you're a voter is ridiculous. It's too long. Thirdly, it should not be the writers that are voting. It should be the broadcasters, because the broadcasters actually watch the games. The writers, I was listening to MLB Network, and one of the hosts on there, Casey Stern, I listen to all the time. This is my favorite guy to listen to about baseball. He said when he goes into press boxes at games, there are north. He said north of 50% of them, so over 50% of the writers aren't watching the game. They're on their computer screens, because when the pitch comes in, all they want to do is see how it relates to all the analytics. And when a guy hits the ball, all he wants to see is the analytics on the hit. That they don't care about the actual game. They're not watching the game, and they're already writing their articles during the game. So I don't really agree with the whole voting system. I'm sure a lot of people don't, but
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
Exactly.
It's antiquated. It's ridiculous.
And it should not be. It should be not be anonymous either.
No, especially in this case. I mean, so yeah, I wasn't expecting Jeter to get the unanimous vote, but when it came out that he was one vote shy, that kind of ticked me off. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, no, he won't. And it's just, that's the sucky part about this, is he's one vote. If it was 10 votes, sure, yeah, well, I get it, whatever. But one vote, why? So
I just have a sneaky suspicion it's someone with ties to the Marlins that it's mad about what he's doing right now with the Marlins, which isn't right, but that's what I'm guessing.
It's possible. I mean, I thought it was going to be a Red Sox writer, but it's interesting. A lot of the rivals of the Yankees, the writers have come out and have said.
I mean, at the time you don't like him because he's playing for enemy, but in the end you respect their talent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To backtrack a little bit, Brad, Joe DiMaggio was elected into the Hall of Fame in 1955. He actually earned 88% of the vote.
On what year? Second year?
It doesn't say. That's too bad.
Okay, well, we know it wasn't the first year, so maybe it was the second. But either way, he still only got 88% when he did get voted in.
So just for a point of reference, Babe Ruth got 95% of the vote.
And this is when there was, 6 teams in the league? So, I mean.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many writers there were, but 95% was probably.
It says 215 votes. I didn't realize there were that many writers in 1936.
Wow, that shocks me. Like,
so
how are they watching the games?
I don't know. I mean, radio, right? Radio, I guess. But how do you don't see it?
Yeah. But
so
I guess you just go by writers probably reading other writers' articles about the games he played. I guess.
I guess and see the box score but so 1936, Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Christy Mathewson, Babe Ruth, and Honest Wagner were the first class ever in the Hall of Fame. And the Babe and Honest Wagner both got 95.1% of the vote.
So not even Honest Wagner got 100% of the vote. And people think Jeter should get 100% of the vote?
Yeah, and Ty Cobb got 98.2% of the vote. So that was the highest. It's crazy.
I will say if I had to speak for this writer, I guess he could at least say, I just didn't want everyone thinking Jeter was the best player ever to get, because he's the only one that got 100% of the vote. I guess if I had to make an excuse for him.
Don't make excuses for him, Brett. No, I'm just kidding. Griffey, 99.3% of the vote.
Who got 99.3?
Griffey.
Jeter? Oh, Griffey. Yeah, so there's somebody out there that didn't think Griffey got it. I didn't think if Jeter and Griffey are on the same level, I think. So.
Yes, and the thing with
Jeter's
Griffey.
Had more longevity.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get at. Is Griffey spent a lot of the second half of his career injured, and he still hits 600 home runs. That's insane.
He should have never went to Cincinnati. And the poor guy played on turf his entire career. Because wasn't Cincinnati turf back then too?
Yeah, until the end, where I think that's when they opened the new ballpark, and then he got traded to the White Sox.
Yeah, so you're playing center field on turf your entire career. That hurts. It hurts. It does a lot of damage to your body.
Which I always forget that he played for the White Sox. He only played 1 year for the White Sox. He hits 630 home runs. That's insane.
That's sweet swing.
Yep, one of the best I've ever seen. I got to watch him live. I think it was like one of the first few games I went to Yankee Stadium. We did that bus trip. That was before you and I started hanging out.
Yeah, I wasn't on that one.
And we sat in the right field stands on that second level, and right at the foul pole. And there were a couple times Griffey came up and he hit foul balls right over us into the upper deck.
That's pretty.
And it just looked effortless. I mean,
yeah,
it was beautiful.
He just had the mechanics. That's all. Like, it's almost I kind of related to a golfer, because golfers don't look really big and strong, but they drive the ball 500 yards because of their mechanics. And that's what Griffey had, man. Now you get that left-handed swing. It's
all in the hips.
Don't ever do that again. Don't
ever whatever.
Do that again
Whatever. Actually, Griffey lives around here. He lives in Dr. Phillips,
really?
I think. Yeah.
The Orlando area?
Yep. I've heard people seeing him out and about, and his son. But
okay.
So yeah. The kid. So now that we've talked about Jeter, who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and did you see his the Players Tribune released a video of when he received the call? Did you see that?
I do know they did. I didn't watch it. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't realize that Jeter owns the Players Tribune.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you forget about that sometimes, but it was the most Jeter thing I've ever seen. I mean, you know how he is with the media, right? He always plays everything off nonchalant and like just keeps it cool and doesn't really show emotion. You should watch it, but he picks up the phone and the guy asks, "Is this Derek Jeter?" And he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he goes, "Congratulations, you've been inducted into the Hall of Fame," something along that. And most guys are like, have that moment where it kind of sinks in, and I'm sure he did inside, but he would never have known. It just looked like he got a call from his doctor or something like that.
Well, I mean, he kind of knows it was coming.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you can see in the background there's photographers and a couple
Right.
different cameras going around because he obviously had people from the Players Tribune there to
Yeah.
document it. But it was interesting, and
Yeah, I was
I didn't
watching.
realize how old his kids were. He has two daughters now. I think
Oh, he has two now. Okay, I just thought he
yeah,
had the one.
he has one, and I think she's the same age or around the same age as your son. And I think the other kid is not even a year old, maybe a year old or so.
Oh, so just recently. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was watching when he was on. He was on a phone call to, or he was on being interviewed on MLB Network, and Joe Torre called to congratulate him, and the whole phone call was just Jeter thanking Joe Torre for what he did for his career. That's just
Hmm.
what Jeter does.
Yep.
Did you watch his press conference that he had?
I didn't. I want to. I
He had
missed
one
it.
funny moment where the writer asked him, "Are you frustrated with how things are going in Miami right now?" And Jeter's he had the best answer. He goes, nah, it's great losing all the time and having nobody show up."
Yeah, that's
He answered
such
it
a Jeter
perfectly.
response.
Yeah, he answered it perfectly.
Well, hopefully he does what he's trying to do down there. I know the Marlins beat the Yankees in '03, and I have to hear about it all the time because a handful of my friends are Marlins fans for some reason because they're from there. But and they're also disgusted
Good
with
reason.
how Jeter's doing things. And I get it. I get it. You're tired of your team losing, but I would hope that he has learned some things from being around the Yankees organization for so long that he does get them to be competitive again. And that stuff's not going to happen overnight. You gotta get your draft picks through the minor leagues, and it'll be better. It'll get better soon.
Listen, it's
But
a process, and that's what people have to realize that it's a process. And part of Jeter's answer was I don't blame people for not trusting me. They have no reason to. They don't know me, and that's true. But it is a plan. Basically, you got to look at it from a business standpoint. I know it's hard for fans to do this, but if you look at it through a business standpoint, Jeter took over a team that was with the players they had, with Yelich and Stanton and Ozuna in the outfield, were still losing, and the team every single year as a franchise was losing money. It was a losing
mhm.
business. That's not when that happened. You change. You have to change something, and that's what he did. So, I mean, you can't blame the guy. It's just hard for fans to see that because they have to suffer through these years of not winning, and then management has to suffer through years of no one showing up and having no
Mhm.
money to make improvements. It's just a cycle. But like you said, hopefully things turn around, and it's just gonna take time. And I hope Miami fans realize that and give him a chance.
Yep, exactly. And I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. And you look at the the team that they had when he took over, and it was Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, and then I think Jose Fernandez was still on the team, or did he pass away before that?
No, he was. Uh, you know what? I don't know that answer. I really don't.
Well, regardless, you can have Yelich who didn't blossom yet, and Ozuna who was on the verge, and Stanton who's already a superstar. You can have those players, but that if you don't have good pitching outside of Jose Fernandez and a solid bullpen, you're not going to win. So they had the core in place, but they needed to build their rotation and needed to build their bullpen, and they just
And I think from everything I'm hearing, their rotation is supposed to be really, really good this year. If the guys have developed by the way they plan, I heard they're gonna have the second best rotation in that division. So
oh good.
hopefully people pay attention to that. Yeah.
That's impressive considering the pitching in that division as it is. I mean, you got Atlanta who has a good young core of pitchers. You got Washington with Scherzer and Strasburg. Um, you got the Mets with DeGrom, Syndergaard, and
Yeah, they were
a
saying that the
couple of them.
Marlins are gonna have a rotation basically the same level as the Mets, just behind Washington in that
Wow.
division.
Well, then it
Yeah.
should be interesting. Hopefully, their young guys in the batter's box take a step forward and get them moving in the right direction. And maybe
It's a tough
uh,
division.
it
It is.
is, it is even if the
It
Mets are
really
a part
involves
of
a really
it.
good division. Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. And Atlanta at or not? Yeah, Atlanta added another bat. So they're that's going to be a very competitive
They
division. Kind
lost
of reminds me.
Donaldson. They lost Donaldson and added Ozuna. I personally don't understand the whole hype around Ozuna. I don't think he's that good. He wasn't very good last year, and he's an awful left fielder. So
He had that one breakout season. I think it was right before he got traded, or the first year he was a Cardinal, and that was it. But if he plays to, I mean, he's not. The Cardinals picked him up because they thought that they could build around him, and that didn't work out. So maybe if he's not the center of attention or the go-to guy, because they got Acuna, they got Ozzy Albies, Freddie Freeman, they have a good lineup, and I just maybe if he could be a part of it instead of trying to lead it, then that maybe that'll help him. So
yeah, let's hope. I mean, for his sake, let's hope.
mhm.
We'll see.
But anyways,
It's
Brad, this
new
is
age.
this is this is Yankee Chatter.
Well,
So
it's baseball. We
so
gotta talk about
let's
baseball.
let's talk a little bit more about the Yankees. Spring training starting in about a month. Actually, pitchers and catchers report, and I think Paul O'Neill
In a couple
days.
weeks.
Yeah, Paul
Yeah.
O'Neill number of days.
Oh, it's
So
Paul. Actually, it's 20 now. I'm sorry.
20. So
Sorry.
Posada number of days. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember, and the reason I know that is because the Yes Network put a picture of it. It said 20 days, but instead of Posada, they had Gary Sanchez. So, and someone wrote in, why would you not put Power Posada on there? But that's the reason why I know.
Oh, well, okay. So Posada number of days away. It's exciting. They got their ace in the free agency, Garrett Cole, to a monster 9-year deal. We haven't talked about that.
Do they have a number 19?
Tanaka.
Oh, wow, I forgot about that. Okay.
They don't have a number 18 anymore. Didi's gone.
Yeah, I knew that.
And
Philly is it's like Yankee South. That's
yep,
what it is.
pretty much with Girardi taking over now. So that'll be interesting. Like we said, that division's going to be crazy, and it reminds me of the Central Division a couple of years ago when the Brewers were really good. Not that they're not good anymore, but they were really good.
Brewers, Cubs, Pirates were good back then. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
The Cubs, yeah, and the Cardinals are always good. So that division was competitive. It'd be nice to see the NL East kind of do that this season as well. I'd like to say the same thing about the AL East, but the Orioles are not going to be great. The Blue Jays, you don't know what they're going to get out of them. They're still a young team, exciting young team to watch, but not the same.
I think you got to watch out for Toronto. I think Toronto might make that jump up into second place this year.
With how Boston is,
really
I have a feeling Boston's not going to do much this year. But you never know. They still have a lot of the players in place from their 2018 asterisk season.
They don't have much of a rotation at all, other than Sale.
And Sale,
they're still threatening to trade away Betts. So,
and
I think they're trying to trade away David Price right now too. I think Pedroia's going to retire. I think he should have already.
Yeah, the guy's the Jacoby Ellsbury of the Red Sox. Oh wait, Jacoby Ellsbury was a Red Sox.
Actually, I think the Red Sox are one of the teams rumored to be looking at Ellsbury. So, for what it's worth, I said that. I said watch them trade one of their outfielders, whether it's Betts or Bradley Jr., and watch them sign Ellsbury, and he hits 24 home runs this year for them. It'll happen. I know it'll
Watch
happen.
it. Yeah, watch it happen. Watch it. He signs a 1-year deal.
It's going to be for the minimum because Yankees are still paying him.
Mm-hmm.
So
rebuild this stock. Yep. Or he could just be like this year's version of Tulowitzki and sign somewhere and play 9 or 3
just
games or something. Yeah. What he played like 4 games or something like that before he got hurt. I don't think he lasted a week.
I didn't think it was that
many. I know he got a home run as a Yankee. I think in the first game.
The first game he had a home run. Yeah.
And then I don't think he did much after that. Poor guy. I was rooting for him, but
Yankees had some very random players the last couple of years that you'll forget that were on the team.
Yeah, and I saw something today. Someone, I think Yes Network released the Fangraphs projections for some of the Yankees, and I wonder if I can find it on here. Just kind of projecting like what Stanton and Judge and Sanchez and the top, the big guys would end up doing.
It would just be really nice to have them all healthy at the same time for an extended period this season, because everyone wants to see the Bash brothers, Judge and Stanton, and then everyone wants to see Sanchez hopefully turn things around and join that, because that can be a historic group. But
It
they
really
got to stay
could
in the
be.
field.
It really
And right
could
now, no
be.
one has any confidence that Stanton can stay in the field.
No, I'm optimistic because he is still pretty young. I mean, he's younger than both of us. Not that that's saying much
He's
because
young,
we're
but
all.
he's never gone through a season without getting hurt.
And so it would be nice. I'm rooting for him. I mean, he's on my team. I would love. I want him to do well, and I guess I can't find it, but they had all these projections for the Yankees this year, and they had Stanton projected to hit 50 home runs, Judge 40 something, Sanchez and Glaber in the 30s, and like all these players having monster years. So if they get some portion of that, they even had like Urshela on there to hit like 18 home runs. I don't think he's going to have a repeat of last year, but I still
It'd be
think,
hard to do that.
yeah, and especially with Andujar coming back from his injury, you don't know how much playing time these guys are going to get if they platoon them, or if Andujar has a breakout year since he missed all last year to injury.
I think Andujar is going to be a primary DH, but with those guys in the outfield, especially Stan that gets hurt a lot, I'm sure he's going to want to give a lot of guys rest. So then they'll be DHing, and then Urshela will have the day off, something like that. The Yankees always find ways to get people in. Are you surprised that they didn't go out and sign a left-handed bat for the lineup? At any position?
At first,
DH?
Yeah, I was surprised, but I put a little thought into it. And if you look at some of these guys' numbers, and maybe while we're talking, I can just bring up Aaron Judge as an example. But a lot of these guys hit right-handed pitching pretty well. I mean, you want a lefty to face right-handed pitching, right? And they all go opposite right center, opposite field often.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of that stadium.
So, yeah, it's a little disappointing that they didn't pick up a left-handed bat, but I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to hurt them.
It makes me think that they have confidence that Mike Ford is actually going to make the big league team this year.
I'd be okay with that. Maybe they platoon him and Voit, because I don't know what we're going to get out of Luke Voit since he was injured at the end of the last year. And, I obviously wasn't as high on him as a lot of other people since I was Team Greg Bird. And we all saw how that turned out. And I was really hoping Bird would do well and at least make somewhat a comeback because of his left-handed bat. And he does have a pretty sweet swing, and it was built for Yankee Stadium, but he just didn't put it all together, which was unfortunate. So Ford seemed to do that last season, especially after he was up in the big leagues for a little while. He got more playing time. He still hit more than 10 home runs in a short amount of time.
He puts together good at bats.
He does. I was always impressed with him because he has a good eye. He works the count. Voit does at times. It's hit or miss, but the nice thing is that those guys would be a nice pairing. It'd be a nice platoon to have. The problem is you can't play them anywhere else. They only play first base.
So other than that, for lefty, you just got Gardner, and Hicks is out till whenever, and that's pretty much it.
Yep, Hicks is out for a while. Aaron Judge versus right-handed hitting. He's a career 275 hitter. He's 266 against lefties. He's obviously faced more right-handed pitching because he is in a league that's right-handed heavy. So he's got 86 home runs, 199 RBIs versus 24 and 47 versus lefties. So his OPS jumped around. His OPS versus righties and his OPS versus lefties are one's 944 against righties and it's 972 against lefties. So he's no slouch against right-handed pitching.
No, none of these guys are.
So, no.
Hey, if Brian Cashman and the Yankees are okay with it, then I'm okay with it. I mean, I like the quotes that Cashman has because everyone wants them to make these big changes. Like, listen, it's hard to improve on a 103-win team. And it's the truth. It really is. There's not a lot of teams that win 100 games. And they've done it 2 times in a row now. So why make big changes? There's no reason to.
And the crazy part to that statement is they won more games last year where half their team was injured for the whole year than the year before when their whole team was healthy. Well, Judge missed a big chunk of time. But for the most part, I mean, compare the number of injuries last year to the number of injuries in 2017. It's a big difference. And Judge was just one injury compared to last year, which was
I'm sorry,
20 something players.
Yeah. Speaking of the injuries, Tauchman's a lefty too. I don't know if they plan on him winning the starting center field job or Gardner, but he's another lefty.
I'd be
and
okay.
You don't know what you're going to get out of him this year either.
You don't, and you hope that exactly, and you hope that yeah, exactly, and you hope that last year was a big step forward for both of them. Now, Urshela's been around a little bit longer than Tauchman, so you don't know if last year was a fluke or not. Tauchman's still coming up into the league, so hopefully that was a big step forward for him and more of what we can expect from him. I wouldn't mind him being the starting center fielder. At least he can stay healthy. You hope,
right,
compared to Hicks, who I'm telling you that contract, even though it's money friendly, it's going to come back and bite them because they're stuck with him unless they can trade.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it when they gave him was it 6 years, right?
7 years, 77 million, I think.
7 years. I didn't really understand why they gave him that one that long.
It's dumb because I didn't think he was worth it. I think you're going to extend him. You extend him for like 3 or 4 years, but even then he can't. He plays half a season because he's always injured. So why do you want to extend someone that's always injured?
They must have did that team-friendly deal on purpose because they thought maybe it'd be more easy to be tradable around the deadline.
Mm-hmm. I guess it's going to be tough to get something in return for him. Like I said last year, they should have traded him while his stock was high because they probably could have gotten a nice return for him, and then some other team would be dealing with his injuries.
Every report that I read from people like scouts or people that watch the Yankees minor leagues, Dominguez is going to be ready in like less than 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can play Hicks other places, and I'm sure Dominguez plays other places in the center field. Mm-hmm. But
have you seen a picture of that kid?
Yeah.
The dude's 16 years old, and he's a man. Like, he is jacked. He's big.
I don't know if they feed those kids.
I don't know. I think they grow them under power lines or something like that.
They have to chase their own chicken. That's what it is.
It's got to be. No, if he lives up to the hype, that will be something exciting. Absolutely.
I think Gleyber playing shortstop this year has a chance at winning the MVP. What do you think?
I don't know. It's possible. I mean, he's only 23, which is the crazy part about all this. And if you're on Twitter during the games and he hits a home run, everyone always says, oh, he's only 22, 23 years old. It's true. He's young. He's part of this young generation that is coming up, and they're exciting to watch. And he's a natural shortstop, so hopefully this transition for him, because he played a lot there last year while Didi was recovering from his Tommy John surgery, to get a full year out of him. And I don't know MVP, but it sure will be exciting to watch him.
I mean, last year people were talking about Bogarts being an MVP candidate, and I think he has every potential to be better than Bogarts this year.
Mm-hmm. Did you know Bogarts is only 24, 25?
Yeah. And he feels like he's been playing for Boston forever.
He has. Now, I was listening to a podcast the other day. I think it was the Talking Baseball with John Boy and Jake, and they interviewed Marley Rivera from ESPN. And she's like really close with a lot of these players that have been around for a while, these young guys. Okay. And they were actually talking about how old Bogarts is. And they actually said, feels like he's been around for a long time, but he's only 24, 25 years old. So it's just impressive that these young guys are able to come up. Him, Torres, Acuna, Albies, the kid from San Diego, Tatis Jr., Vladdy, the young core in Toronto, and they're able to perform at a high level. It's exciting. And you just hope that baseball isn't turning into football where a player is only around for like 4 or 5 years and then you never hear from him again.
Well, the way the contracts are in baseball, basically you have until your age 29, 28 year season, and then analytics says that you go on in a decline. So they don't give you much room. Your prime is like age 23 to 27. That's all really analytics gives you. And unfortunately, that's what people look at now instead of actually watching the game. But that's a whole other conversation.
Speaking of another young fielder, and we talked about him last year, apparently Nolan Arenado is upset with Rockies ownership, and a lot of people think that there's a chance that he could be on his way out of Colorado after signing that monster extension last year. I guess he requested that the Rockies ownership get some more players to build around him, and they absolutely did not do that this offseason. So I think he said it was a level of disrespect, and so
Yeah,
you got to wonder what's going on there.
I think what happened was everyone says to quit whining because you're making $35 million a year, whatever it is. But I don't. People need to realize he signed that contract being told that we're going to build a team around you. Like we're going up, we're not going down. The Rockies won 100 games 2 years ago, and then they went down to 70 this past year, which is a big disappointment. There's no reason they should have been that bad. They just were. But yes, Arenado signed that deal long term in Colorado because they led him to believe that they're in it right now. They're going for the win now, and they're clearly not right now.
No, they're not.
He's watching San Diego rise up above them. Dodgers are still up there. Diamondbacks, I haven't really paying too much attention. They're off season, but I think
I don't think they've done much. But San Diego is going to be an exciting team to watch.
Yeah, and I think Arenado realizes that San Diego is now above them in that division. So I understand the frustration, but you have to realize where you play, and when you sign a deal that big, it kind of handcuffs the team a little bit.
Well, the thing with Arenado is he's been around for a while. He's 28 years old. He'll be 29 first month into the season. He's been around he made his debut in 2013. So he's been around for a while. So you gotta be, I mean, if you're him and you've been on one team for a while, and you obviously the team that drafted you, that you came up through the system with them, and you've been with them for a while, you probably are hoping that, especially when they tell you they've signed you to be their franchise player, and yet they do nothing to help your cause, you gotta get frustrated. And you play baseball, yes, because you enjoy it and to make money and to do that, but you also play to win a world championship. And if your team who's committed to you isn't doing anything to further the cause, then why would you want to stay with them? I mean, that's the part that puzzles me about Mike Trout, is that he'll end up being, unless they decide to trade him halfway through that 13-year contract they signed with him, or whatever it was, he'll be an angel for life, and there's probably a good chance they might not win a World Series in that time. So
yeah,
why commit to a team that's not going to commit back to you?
And at least they went out and signed. I can't think of his name. Third baseman.
Oh, Rendon.
Rendon, yeah. So at least they're doing something.
That's true.
They need pitching. Their pitching is god awful, and you cannot rely on Ohtani to be your savior of your rotation. All right,
dude. That guy's gonna suck this year. Mark my words. Ohtani, he'll DH and he'll hit because that's all he is. But he doesn't play defense, and he's either gonna blow his arm out again or he's gonna get rocked, and he won't be a pitcher for very long.
And you have to rest him the day before and the day after a start.
So he plays 4 days.
That's 3 days out of a week that you can't even have his bat in the lineup.
And that doesn't include if there's an off day in the week. So you get him for half the week, if that. And if he's hurt, then you lose him for more. And you invested all that money in him to do all this stuff, and I'm telling you, he's not going to be a pitcher for much longer.
No, I think eventually they're going to realize they need to just keep his bat in the lineup. But then he's just a DH. So.
And then what's the point after that? I mean, luckily he signed with an American League team, so. But
yeah, so there's a point of being DH. But I mean, I just don't think that he's going to be the two-way player that they thought he was going to. But we could be proven wrong. I don't know.
It's true. It's happened before. So, all right. Since I'm actually pretty thrilled that we haven't had any connection errors in this go around, Brad.
This is a good practice run. I like
this. It is. And we're coming up on 45 minutes here. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on, Yankees related or Major League Baseball related?
No, I think as the weeks come on now, we're going to start building up steam towards spring training. That's when we can really get into position by position and divisions and go from there. But this is good, just a recap of the league, kind of pretty much. And in doing so, we tested our new system. So I think it was a success.
Definitely need to work out some tweaks here. I mean, it's an interesting format. I'd like to see if we can get our names on here so people can actually see who we are and where to find us, because we are Yankee Chatter, as you can see below. But, we're on all the social media, Facebook, Twitter. What's the other one? Instagram. It's been a while since I've done this. You can search Yankee Chatter. We're on there. I'm Greg Andriano at GregAndriano05 on Twitter, and that's Brad up in New York. Brad, where can they find you, Brad?
I'm not going to give my personal address on here.
Oh, you're one of those people. Where's your tinfoil hat?
Yeah, Twitter is at BradderChatter1. And then just, other than that, just follow the show's links. Greg's doing that stuff.
Yeah, and while you're at it, check out the Bigger and Bradder Sports Show. They're on YouTube as well.
Yes, I do have to plug that. Bigger and Bradder Sports Show. We talk about a little bit of everything, mostly football, and that season's coming to an end, so we'll be doing more Yankee Chatter stuff than that. But yeah, Bigger and Bradder Sports Show. We're on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff as well.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned for our next episode whenever we might film that. We're going to try and do these live things a little bit more often. It's a little bit easier on the editing staff, and hopefully we can get more feedback from you, the viewer, and hopefully we can have these conversations and get them out there as they're happening, as opposed to a day or so after, with the posting process.
Yeah.
So this will be good, and it'd be great to hear what you guys think. So let us know. With spring training coming up, hopefully, since I live down here, I can get out to a game or two and experience that this year. Hopefully, I don't throw my back out again, which would be nice. And a lot of exciting things that could happen this year, especially with everything we got going on. So good times, great oldies 98. Oh wait, that's a different thing. Anyways,
what an old man. He's such an old man.
Yes, get off my lawn.
All right. Wrap it up.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. I'm
See
Greg.
you next time.
That's Brad. See you next time, and go Yanks.